Okay, hi there, I'm Hao, and this is just another video of me solving random linear problem. So we need to find pivot index, right? So the pivot index is the index that, so if we have the pivot index is 3, for example, right? Then the sum, right, to the left and to the right of the pivot had to be equal to each other, right? Right. So for example, if we have let's see, for example here is 1, 7, 3, 6, 5, 6. Right, this should be our index. In other words, which is the pivot, right? Right. So we just have to find the total sum first, right? The total sum going to be the sum just, right, which is 28, right? And we need to keep track of the left sum, right? So as we iterate through the nums array, right? Each index we are looking at, right, is the potential pivots, right? Potential pivot equal to index, right? So let's say we are looking at this, right? The left sum, we just have to check, right? Okay, the left sum is 0, right? Right. So the total sum, right, minus the left sum, minus the pivot, right? Because we don't want to include the value at the pivot. Minus pivot value, right, equal to the left sum, right? Right. Then in this case, right, the pivot gonna be valid, right? This is gonna be valid pivot, right? When, right, this happened. Okay. So the total sum, right, is the sum from here to here, right? The left sum is whatever in the front, right? It is the pivot, right? So we take the total sum, we might minus the left sum, right? And we're gonna also exclude the pivot because we don't want to include the value in the pivot, right? And in this case, as you can see, right, the remaining sum, which means like the sum on the right. So in other words, this is also called the right sum, right? It is the right sum. If the right sum is equal to the left sum, then which means we found a valid pivot, right? Right. This is also called the right sum, right? The left sum is the sum from the left to the right up to, but not including the pivot, right? The right sum is gonna be the sum after the pivot to the end, right? And then to calculate the right sum, we take the total sum, we minus the left sum, and we minus the uh the pivot, right? Right. So it is the total sum, right? The total sum, right? The total sum T, right? To find the right sum, we check the total sum, we subtract the pivot in the left sum, right? And after we find the right sum, we're gonna compare, right? If the right sum is equal to the left sum, right? Then we found the valid pivot. So we're just gonna return the pivot, right? Okay. So in this case, they are not equal, so we keep going, right? We keep going. So now it is our left, right? Our left. So the left sum gonna be 1, right? It is our pivot. Current pivot. It is now going to be our right sum, right? Right. So the total, right, minus the left minus the pivot, gonna give us the right, right? Right sum, right? In this case, it is how much? It is 9 plus 11 is 20, right? It's different than 1, so this is not the answer, right? It is an invalid pivot. So we keep going, right? Right. So now, the left pivot gonna be this part, right? It's gonna be our left. It's gonna be our pivot, right? So the left gonna be 8 now, become 8. 8, right? Right, so the total minus the left minus the pivot give us the right sum, right? The right sum, right? So the right sum now is 11 and then 17, right? It's not the same as the left sum. So let me write it down here. The right sum is equal to 17, right? So the right sum and the left sum are not the same. So we ignore, right? And then we keep going, right? The left sum gonna be this part. It's gonna be our pivot, right? It's gonna be our right sum. The right sum now is gonna be 11, right? Which is the same as our the left sum, right? This is 11, right? So we return the pivot, which is 3. Okay. And that is our algorithm. Let's code this up. So what do we need here? We need to keep track of the total sum. We need to calculate the total sum first. Okay. So total sum. Let's equal none, right? And then now we calculate the left sum, right? The left sum when I plus equal to num sub I, right? And the right sum gonna be equal to the total sum minus the left sum minus the pivots, right? The pivot minus the pivot, right? And then the pivot gonna be num sub I, right? Let's call this one pivot. And let's call this pivot value, right? Okay. So to calculate the right sum, we take the total sum, we subtract the left sum and the pivot value, right? And then after that, right? If the right sum, right? If the left sum is equal to the right sum, right? Which means we have found the answer, so we can just return the pivot, right? Otherwise, we're incrementing the left sum and keep going. And if we cannot find the answer, we just return negative 1. Nums of pivots. And it worked. Thank you for watching.